Hey guys, so this weekend there is a very large storm moving across a huge swath of the United States, and I think about a third of Americans are in danger of losing power. So I'm going to show you 3 common items that you probably already have in your pantry, and if you don't, you can get it at almost any grocery store, large or small. So 3 fuel types and 3 ways to heat, cook, and light that will save the day if you do have a power outage, one of these snowstorm, ice storm events. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is you can make out of a tuna can, or in this case just a small chicken breast can, a little bit larger than a tuna can, so I'd recommend something a little bit bigger. And you take these stainless steel sponges, you can get these at almost any grocery store, sometimes they even sell these at the hardware stores. Put those inside of your stainless can. I'm going to use all 3 of them, and the purpose of using these, I don't know if you can hear that over the mic. The purpose of using these is going to increase the burn time and collect a little bit more heat in our container, so it's going to make it easier to cook with. I'll show you how to set this up as a simple cooking device on a very basic type of fuel source. I'm going to set this on a metal base so we don't scorch our wooden table, and what I'll talk about is the types of fuel sources. Now, the more pure your fuel source, the better you are, and I'll talk a little bit about what most people have in their home. This is a 91% rubbing alcohol, 70%, and I've even purchased in the past, and they're quite a bit more expensive, 99% alcohol. What I will say about this is that most of the time the 70 and the 90 is going to be the most common one, so a lot of times 99% is not easily found. So I'm going to put a 91% into our container here. If I can get this top off, sometimes they seal these things, make it really difficult. Right, I'm going to remove that top there. And I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 ounces in our container. And make sure that when you do this that you clean up any possible spills, because the flame could jump out of your container. But I'm going to show you how to cook, or in this case, boil some water just on this small amount of alcohol. And it's really easy to do. Now I removed our first metal base because it was spreading the jars out too far, but I've taken 3 just common mason jars. You could use empty spaghetti jars, used cans of anything, products that you might have used, and you just want to have them close enough where you can set a pot or pan in that center there. You want to make sure that it's stable, it's not going to fall off. Once you light it, it will heat very quickly. I'm going to give a quick demonstration of how that small amount of alcohol could cook you a meal in this large size pot very quickly in the event of a power outage. So something as simple as alcohol, these stainless steel sponges, and an empty, in this case, chicken can or tuna can could cook you a meal in an emergency situation. So let's just do, I don't know, maybe a few minute test to show you how hot the water will get in a matter of minutes. Now I'm going to do a time lapse, and this water's been in the greenhouse last night and it was below freezing. So we'll just see how long it takes to actually boil that water. I'll set the camera up. I'm going to take our torch here and light. Okay, we've got it lit and burning from underneath. So let's just do a time lapse and see how long it takes. And I'll give you a view from underneath as well. Now it was a little bit further away from the flame than I wanted to be, so I downsized to some smaller size mason jars. So again, you could use something like empty soup cans or anything like that. So as you can see, our pot that we would make soup or whatever product we're making, whatever food item we're making, is a lot closer to the flame and it's going to cook a lot faster. So let's finish up with this procedure, and then I'll show you another easy way in case you don't have some of these items. But this will cook a meal very quickly. It will heat water, whatever you need. It will put out a little bit of heat into the room. Obviously, you want to follow all the rules I always mention, and I'll show you a device you can have in your home that'll make it super simple to use open flame. Now, while I'm waiting on the water to come to a pretty good boil, I want to talk just for a second about these Simply Safe carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. It's a 2-in-1, and I have them in my home, in a workshop separate. I also have them in the greenhouse. So I would recommend getting something like that that can alert you on your phone. If you step out of the room, you're not paying attention, at least you'll have almost no one puts their phone down these days. You'll be alerted through text message from your phone. So just remember, be very careful with an open flame. I've spilled a little bit of alcohol on this side, so again, safety is paramount. So in just a matter of a few minutes, you can see our water is coming to a boil. I would highly recommend that you be very careful with an open flame. So if you have pets or children around, be cautious and careful because they're so likely to knock something over before you know it. So I moved our can and I found this Dollar Tree basket here, and it's just a wire basket. I believe it was in the craft section of my local Dollar Tree. I'm using this camping mug to also heat up some water. As you can see, this is just a super simple setup. So if you have some camping gear, you could use something like that. I also recommend having a very good pair of fire resistant gloves, because almost everything you're doing can get overheated, so you could burn your fingers really easy. So again, we're still on the alcohol, the steel scrubbers or the steel sponges, and also whatever type of can you have handy. You don't have to use a tuna or a chicken can like I have, but you could use something like a empty soup can to use as your fuel reservoir to hold it and to turn it into your small micro stove. So anyways, this is a super simple way to cook. Let's move on to the next item I'll show you that might be in your pantry that can make it super simple to cook. So one more quick look before we move on. As you can see, the water's boiling nicely. So something as simple as this setup would save you in a pinch if you lost power and you needed to cook. Now I love these stainless steel utensil holders. They're really well made and they're not that expensive. You can get them at Walmart. A lot of different types of stores sell these. I'll put a link in the description to a lot of the products I'm using today. But if you're in a pinch and you need something, you could turn this also into a heater. I'm sorry about that noise there. So let's set this on top of that just to disperse some of the heat from underneath. Let's take some stainless steel mesh, and I have a lot of this around the greenhouse. I've cut this one to size, and you can relight it, and this stainless steel mesh will catch some of the heat. You could put a lid on this, lots of different types of lids. Let's just do a quick light there, and I'll show you. This will act as a great heater. So this isn't necessarily for cooking, but this particular setup can work great as a little micro heater. You can put some type of stainless steel lid on it, any type of small metal top, and that will help trap some of the heat in, and it will heat up. This stainless steel mesh is not coated with anything, nor is anything sprayed on the inside of this can. So we've demonstrated cooking with this method. Now we're demonstrating heating. Also, depending on the purity of your fuel, it can generate a lot of light as well. So you have heat, lighting, and cooking off of this one setup. So let's move on to the next one. Now here's another common thing almost everybody has around the house these days, especially since the last 5 years have taken place. But you can fill this up about 1/3 of the way and use this as a cooking device. Now this is just a tuna can, and I'm going to take the wire mesh basket that I picked up at the local, I guess it was the Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to light this. You can light because it's just a gel alcohol, and it burns very cleanly. You can't even see the burn there, but I'm going to put our cup back in place, our camping mug. Now you can see it a little bit there. If I cut the light out, you can see it a little bit better, but it burns quite well. We're going to put the cup up here and see how long it takes to boil some water. So again, this is something, if you only had just an empty can and you had the hand sanitizer or alcohol gel, you can see I would prefer that you use unscented or uncolored, so make sure it's just 100% pure and nothing added to it. Now this is not so commonly used as it once was, but this vegetable shortening, but you could also use any type of animal fat or lard. This comes in a lot of different sizes. I've seen some videos online that showed this thing to last for literally weeks and weeks and weeks. But the way this works is you're going to turn these into a candle, and there's two different things I think that you can use most effectively. One is just a normal table candle. You're going to take it, break it off at whatever height you have, because your wick's going to be in here, but you're going to still use the candle. So break it off at the appropriate height. If you're using one of these large cans, you just break off a little bit less. Then put it right down the middle of the can. You need to be very careful about this because these outer cans are no longer made with metal. This is just a very dense type of, I think, paper, cardboard, whatever, and I think this one's the same way. I would recommend transferring it in some type of stainless steel containers. Now the other type of wick you could use are these fiberglass wicks. Not so common, a lot of people have never heard of them, but I'll put a link in the description, and these will last for a very, very long time. Actually, over the candle, I would prefer to use something like this, but a lot of people don't have these around their house, but candles and some type of vegetable shortening, animal fat, you do. So you could turn that into a heater, light, or if you needed just a long-term burning candle, I was about to say you could cook with it as well, but you could turn it into a long-term burning candle if your power outage is over an extended period of time. So guys, this winter storm that was coming through just got me to thinking, what would be the most common thing that many, many millions of people have in their pantry, and almost everybody has one of these three: hand sanitizer, cooking vegetable shortenings, or just common alcohols. Again, be very careful when you do this. It's better that if you don't have good ventilation, that you make sure that you have the carbon and smoke detector as well as the fire extinguisher. Put it on a stove if you're going to cook with it that has a natural vent already there, so that would be a great idea. Even if you don't have power, some of those gases could escape out the stove. So just sometimes a cracked window would put in the right amount of air. Of course, if it's freezing outside, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but you just want to use common sense and safety when using this. Again, keep it away from children or pets. It could be very bad. So it just got me to thinking when this bad storm started rolling through. I made tons and tons of videos about heaters, but what could someone grab out of their pantry or their cabinets and just use right away without having to make a trip to the store, which may not be possible if the roads are iced or there's tree damage or anything like that. So something as simple as these three items could come in as a lifesaver in an emergency event. So guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you liked the video or got something out of it, please give me a thumbs up. Check out my other videos. I have over 300 videos on the channel, and many of them talk about emergency heating, heating greenhouses, heating and power outages. And if you really want to support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon as well. All products I use, if they're still being sold, I'll also put links in the description as well. So guys, I really appreciate it, and have a great day.